Welcome to FREMA Audiobooks, where insight meets action and the strategies, routines, and thinking patterns of the world's wealthiest individuals are distilled into lessons you can apply to your own life. Today, we present Billionaire Mindset and Habits, Think and Act Like the Rich, an audiobook designed to explore how billionaires approach opportunity, decision-making, wealth creation, and personal development, while emphasizing that extraordinary success is the product of deliberate thinking, disciplined action, and consistent, high-leverage habits. Before we begin, subscribe to FREMA Audiobooks for actionable insights, leave a review to support the mission, and share this audiobook with anyone seeking to adopt the thinking and habits of highly successful individuals. This audiobook is not about shortcuts, luck, or mere imitation. It is about understanding the mindset, routines, and strategies that enable the rich to achieve extraordinary results and sustain wealth over time. Over the course of this audiobook, you will explore how billionaires cultivate mindset, establish high-impact habits, make strategic decisions, manage risk, and maintain focus, all while reinforcing personal discipline and leveraging systems that amplify results. You will learn that thinking like the rich requires intentionality, foresight, and structured action, and that success is a function of daily practices, mental frameworks, and decisions that compound over time. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the tools to adopt habits, mindset, and strategies that enhance opportunity recognition, productivity, and long-term financial and personal growth. Now, prepare to explore the mindset, habits, and principles that allow billionaires to think strategically, act decisively, and achieve results that far exceed ordinary expectations. This audiobook is divided into 8 chapters, each designed to guide you from understanding the foundational mindset of the wealthy to implementing daily habits, strategic thinking, and personal practices that reinforce high-impact success. As we begin with the first chapter, remember that the difference between ordinary results and extraordinary achievement lies not just in ideas or resources, but in the consistent, deliberate thinking and behavior that shape every decision, action, and habit. Chapter 1: The Billionaire Mindset, Thinking Beyond Limits. In this chapter, titled The Billionaire Mindset, Thinking Beyond Limits, we explore how billionaires approach life, opportunity, and decision-making with a mindset that consistently pushes beyond conventional boundaries. While emphasizing that wealth and success are created by those who see possibilities where others see obstacles, the billionaire mindset is defined by long-term vision, calculated risk-taking, resilience in the face of failure, and an unwavering belief in the ability to shape outcomes through deliberate action. Listeners are encouraged to cultivate awareness of their current thought patterns, identify limiting beliefs, and adopt cognitive frameworks that reinforce proactive, high-leverage thinking. By thinking strategically, embracing opportunity, and anticipating challenges, individuals can emulate the mental frameworks that drive extraordinary achievement. The narrator emphasizes that clarity of vision is foundational because it provides direction, focus, and motivation across all actions. Billionaires consistently articulate clear goals, evaluate potential pathways to achieve them, and prioritize efforts that produce the highest long-term impact. Listeners are encouraged to define their personal and financial objectives, create mental roadmaps for achieving them, and commit to disciplined execution that aligns daily decisions with broader vision. This approach ensures that focus is maintained and that effort compounds over time toward meaningful outcomes. One of the most significant lessons from this chapter is that resilience and adaptability are central to the billionaire mindset. Because the path to extraordinary achievement is rarely linear and often filled with setbacks, market shifts, and unforeseen challenges, successful individuals learn from failures, iterate quickly, and adapt strategies to maintain momentum despite obstacles. Listeners are encouraged to strengthen mental toughness, regulate emotional responses, and view challenges as opportunities for insight, growth, and strategic advantage. Another key insight lies in strategic risk-taking, because opportunities that generate exceptional returns almost always involve uncertainty. Billionaires evaluate risks analytically, prepare contingencies, and act decisively when potential rewards outweigh the costs. Listeners are encouraged to adopt frameworks for decision-making under uncertainty, combining intuition, research, and probability assessment to act confidently while managing exposure. The importance of this chapter lies in demonstrating that mindset drives action, and action drives results. By cultivating mental frameworks that prioritize vision, resilience, adaptability, and strategic thinking, listeners position themselves to recognize opportunities, execute effectively, and sustain growth over time. A disciplined mindset amplifies every choice, decision, and habit, producing compounding advantage that ordinary thinking cannot achieve. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the ability to approach challenges strategically, anticipate opportunities, and execute decisions with foresight and confidence. The billionaire mindset transforms perception, enabling individuals to see potential where others see limitations, convert challenges into leverage, and translate deliberate thinking into measurable outcomes. This chapter also highlights the role of continuous learning and self-reflection because billionaires consistently refine their thinking based on experience, feedback, and observation. By integrating reflection into daily practice, listeners can recalibrate decisions, improve judgment, and align mental frameworks with long-term objectives. Finally, mastering the billionaire mindset equips listeners with the cognitive foundation to approach life, business, and wealth with clarity, strategic foresight, and adaptability. By thinking beyond limits, embracing calculated risk, and maintaining resilience, individuals ensure that their actions consistently contribute to high-impact achievement and lasting success. Let's move on to Chapter 2, Daily Habits of the Rich, Building Consistency and Momentum. In this chapter, titled Daily Habits of the Rich, Building Consistency and Momentum, we explore how billionaires translate mindset into action through disciplined routines, habits, and practices that reinforce productivity, focus, and long-term wealth accumulation, while emphasizing that extraordinary results are rarely the product of isolated effort, but of consistent, high-leverage behavior over time. Habits serve as the engine that converts intention into tangible outcomes, ensuring that every day contributes meaningfully to long-term success. Listeners are encouraged to examine the routines of the wealthy, identify high-value behaviors, and implement structured practices that compound into extraordinary results over months and years. The narrator emphasizes that focus and prioritization are central to billionaire habits because they determine which tasks and decisions drive meaningful results. Successful individuals consistently dedicate attention to activities that produce the highest long-term impact. Whether in investment, learning, strategy, or networking, listeners are encouraged to evaluate daily routines, eliminate low-value tasks, and structure time around priorities that reinforce goals, ensuring that consistent action compounds into measurable achievement. One of the most significant lessons from this chapter is that disciplined time management enhances both productivity and decision-making. Billionaires often allocate time to deep work, reflection, strategic planning, and personal development, avoiding distractions that dilute focus or reduce efficiency. Listeners are encouraged to establish structured schedules, set boundaries, and create habits that reinforce attention and energy allocation, maximizing the effectiveness of every hour. Another key insight lies in the integration of learning and growth into daily practice, because consistent acquisition of knowledge, skills, and insight differentiates high achievers from the average performer. Successful billionaires read extensively, analyze markets, seek mentorship, and experiment with new approaches, continuously enhancing their capacity to recognize opportunity and make informed decisions. Listeners are encouraged to allocate time for structured learning, reflection, and skill development, embedding growth as a daily habit that compounds into long-term capability. The importance of this chapter lies in demonstrating that habits are the bridge between mindset and outcomes. By implementing deliberate routines, listeners translate thought into action, ensuring that every day reinforces progress toward personal, financial, and professional objectives. Habit formation transforms abstract intention into predictable, high-leverage results, producing momentum that propels growth and achievement. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the ability to structure routines, reinforce focus, and maintain consistency in pursuit of high-impact goals. Effective habits amplify the benefits of mindset, magnifying the results of strategic decisions, risk-taking, and opportunity recognition. This approach ensures that success is not sporadic but systematic, predictable, and replicable over time. This chapter also highlights the role of reflection and adaptation because billionaire routines are not rigid. They are continuously refined based on performance, feedback, and changing objectives. By integrating periodic review and adjustment, listeners ensure that habits remain effective, aligned with goals, and responsive to evolving challenges and opportunities. Finally, mastering the daily habits of the rich equips listeners with the practical foundation to maintain focus, sustain momentum, and compound effort into extraordinary results. By combining disciplined routines, strategic prioritization, and ongoing learning, individuals ensure that mindset is operationalized, effort is amplified, and achievement becomes both deliberate and sustainable. Chapter 3: Strategic Decision-Making: How the Wealthy Choose Wisely. In this chapter, titled Strategic Decision-Making: How the Wealthy Choose Wisely, we explore how billionaires make decisions that maximize opportunity, minimize unnecessary risk, and compound advantage over time, while emphasizing that the capacity to evaluate options intelligently and act decisively is a defining feature of extraordinary success. Wealth is rarely accumulated by chance, it is created by consistently making high-impact choices based on insight, data, and strategic foresight. Listeners are encouraged to examine the decision-making frameworks, mental models, and analytical processes employed by billionaires, integrating similar approaches into their own personal and professional choices to produce predictable, high-leverage results. The narrator emphasizes that prioritization is critical because not all opportunities are equal, and focusing on high-value decisions multiplies impact. Billionaires evaluate the potential return of every option, consider both immediate and long-term consequences, and allocate attention, capital, and effort to initiatives that generate the greatest compounding advantage. Listeners are encouraged to develop frameworks for assessing opportunity, setting clear criteria for action, and avoiding distractions that dilute focus or waste resources. One of the most significant lessons from this chapter is that calculated risk-taking differentiates successful wealth builders from those who remain average. While avoiding risk entirely limits opportunity, reckless decisions jeopardize progress and resources. Billionaires carefully analyze probabilities, outcomes, and contingencies, ensuring that every decision balances potential reward with acceptable exposure. Listeners are encouraged to implement decision-making processes that integrate data, intuition, and scenario planning to act confidently in high-stakes situations. Another key insight lies in learning from both success and failure, because every outcome provides critical information for refining judgment and improving future decisions. Billionaires systematically analyze past choices, extracting lessons and adjusting frameworks to enhance probability of success in future actions. Listeners are encouraged to maintain reflective practices, track outcomes, and iterate decision-making processes to strengthen both speed and accuracy over time. The importance of this chapter lies in demonstrating that strategic decision-making is both a skill and a discipline. By combining foresight, prioritization, risk assessment, and continuous learning, listeners gain the ability to navigate complex choices, allocate resources effectively, and capitalize on high-impact opportunities. Decisions become tools for compounding advantage rather than random or reactive responses. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the capacity to act decisively, evaluate risk intelligently, and execute strategies that consistently produce measurable results. Strategic decision-making amplifies every action, transforms uncertainty into opportunity, and ensures that effort is leveraged to maximum effect. This approach creates predictable, sustainable pathways to wealth and success. This chapter also highlights the role of timing and agility, because the right decision at the wrong moment can limit impact, while timely action enhances returns. Billionaires monitor market conditions, anticipate trends, and adjust strategies dynamically, ensuring that decisions are both informed and actionable. Listeners are encouraged to cultivate awareness of context, practice responsiveness, and integrate flexibility into decision-making processes. Finally, mastering strategic decision-making equips listeners with the tools to navigate complexity, maximize opportunity, and compound wealth through informed, deliberate action. By combining analysis, intuition, risk management, and continuous learning, individuals ensure that every decision reinforces growth, accelerates results, and strengthens long-term impact. Chapter 4: Daily Routines and Habits, Creating Momentum Through Consistency. In this chapter, titled Daily Routines and Habits, Creating Momentum Through Consistency, we explore how billionaires translate strategy into tangible results through structured routines, disciplined habits, and consistent behavior, while emphasizing that success is built over time by repeated, high-impact actions rather than occasional bursts of effort. Daily habits function as the engine that transforms mindset into measurable outcomes, reinforcing focus, productivity, and momentum across all areas of life. Listeners are encouraged to examine the habits of the wealthy, identify high-value behaviors, and integrate structured routines that compound into significant long-term advantage. The narrator emphasizes that prioritization and time management are central to sustaining momentum because disciplined allocation of attention ensures that energy is directed toward the activities that generate the greatest results. Billionaires consistently focus on high-leverage tasks, block out distractions, and structure their days to maximize output while reinforcing strategic objectives. Listeners are encouraged to audit routines, schedule high momentum because disciplined allocation of attention ensures that energy is directed toward the activities that generate the greatest results. Billionaires consistently focus on high-leverage tasks, block out distractions, and structure their days to maximize output while reinforcing strategic objectives. Listeners are encouraged to audit routines, schedule high-impact activities during peak performance periods, and maintain accountability systems to ensure that effort produces measurable outcomes consistently. One of the most significant lessons from this chapter is that reflection and planning reinforce both efficiency and learning, because thoughtful review allows individuals to adjust strategies, refine routines, and enhance decision-making over time. Successful billionaires dedicate time to evaluating progress, identifying improvements, and calibrating focus to align with evolving objectives. Listeners are encouraged to integrate structured reflection, journaling, and planning practices into daily life to optimize performance and sustain momentum over the long term. Another key insight lies in integrating learning into everyday practice, because consistent knowledge acquisition and skill development enhance both judgment and execution. Billionaires allocate time for reading, mentorship, and experimentation, ensuring that new insights are applied to decision-making, problem-solving, and opportunity recognition. Listeners are encouraged to create routines that balance execution with learning, embedding growth as a habitual, high-leverage activity. The importance of this chapter lies in demonstrating that habits and routines are the operational framework of wealth creation. By implementing structured daily practices, listeners ensure that effort compounds over time, producing results that exceed what sporadic effort could achieve. Momentum becomes predictable, performance improves, and progress is reinforced continuously through disciplined action. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the capacity to translate strategy and mindset into consistent, repeatable actions that amplify outcomes. Daily routines transform intention into execution, ensuring that every action reinforces both short-term productivity and long-term growth. This approach guarantees that success is systematic, measurable, and sustainable. This chapter also highlights the role of health, focus, and energy management, because sustained high performance requires both mental clarity and physical resilience. Billionaires integrate exercise, nutrition, and restorative practices into their routines to ensure peak cognitive function, creativity, and endurance. Listeners are encouraged to design daily practices that support both mental and physical performance, creating a foundation for sustained achievement. Finally, mastering daily routines and habits equips listeners with the practical framework to maintain momentum, reinforce discipline, and compound effort into extraordinary outcomes. By combining structure, focus, reflection, and growth-oriented habits, individuals ensure that mindset and strategy are consistently translated into tangible, measurable results, creating predictable pathways to success and wealth. Let's move on to Chapter 5, Investment Strategies, Growing Wealth Intelligently. In this chapter, titled Investment Strategies, Growing Wealth Intelligently, we explore how billionaires deploy capital to generate compounding returns, diversify risk, and expand influence, while emphasizing that strategic allocation of resources is a cornerstone of sustained financial success. Wealth is rarely accumulated solely through income. It is multiplied by identifying opportunities that produce leverage, long-term value, and resilience. Listeners are encouraged to study the investment philosophies, asset allocation methods, and risk management strategies of highly successful individuals, integrating similar approaches into their personal or business finances to optimize growth and sustainability. The narrator emphasizes that diversification combined with focus is essential because spreading resources indiscriminately dilutes impact, while concentrating on high-potential opportunities increases compounding returns. Billionaires balance portfolios across asset classes, geographies, and ventures, combining stability with selective high-risk investments that drive outsized growth. Listeners are encouraged to evaluate opportunities systematically, balance risk and reward, and allocate resources strategically to maximize long-term impact. One of the most significant lessons from this chapter is that timing and due diligence are decisive because investing without careful research or foresight often leads to loss or missed opportunity. Successful investors analyze market trends, assess competitive dynamics, and consider both quantitative and qualitative factors before committing resources. Listeners are encouraged to conduct thorough analysis, seek guidance from mentors or experts, and make informed, deliberate decisions rather than relying on chance or impulse. Another key insight lies in patience and long-term thinking, because wealth building is rarely instant, and compounding requires time, consistency, and disciplined execution. Billionaires maintain positions for strategic growth, avoid short-term emotional reactions, and focus on fundamental value creation rather than temporary volatility. Listeners are encouraged to develop patience, discipline, and a multi-year perspective to allow investments to mature and compound effectively. The importance of this chapter lies in demonstrating that capital alone is insufficient. Its strategic deployment determines whether resources produce meaningful wealth. By combining careful research, timing, risk assessment, and disciplined execution, listeners ensure that every investment decision reinforces growth, security, and long-term opportunity. Investment becomes a deliberate tool to amplify results rather than a passive activity. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the capacity to allocate resources intelligently, manage risk effectively, and create sustainable, compounding financial growth. Strategic investment transforms capital into leverage, enabling individuals to generate wealth that multiplies over time and enhances both opportunity and influence. This chapter also highlights the role of learning, mentorship, and continuous evaluation, because even experienced investors benefit from insights, guidance, and feedback. Billionaires continuously refine strategies, adjust portfolios, and integrate new knowledge to maintain advantage and resilience. Listeners are encouraged to adopt a practice of ongoing learning and reflection to ensure that investment decisions remain informed and high impact. Finally, mastering investment strategies equips listeners with the tools to grow wealth strategically, multiply resources efficiently, and create opportunities for long-term financial security. By combining analysis, risk management, discipline, and long-term focus, individuals ensure that their capital works to produce measurable impact, influence, and enduring success. Let's move on to Chapter 6, Leadership and Influence, Guiding Teams and Opportunities. In this chapter, titled Leadership and Influence, Guiding Teams and Opportunities, we explore how billionaires leverage leadership, communication, and influence to create value beyond personal action, while emphasizing that wealth and impact are multiplied when individuals can guide teams, inspire collaboration, and align others toward high-leverage objectives. Leadership is not merely authority, it is the ability to motivate, align, and empower others to act effectively toward shared goals, amplifying both reach and results. Listeners are encouraged to develop leadership skills, enhance influence, and cultivate credibility in professional and personal settings to maximize impact and opportunity. The narrator emphasizes that vision-driven leadership is critical because clarity of purpose ensures that teams, partners, and collaborators understand direction, priorities, and expected outcomes. Billionaires articulate clear goals, communicate consistently, and inspire commitment, aligning effort across multiple stakeholders. Listeners are encouraged to refine communication skills, establish clear expectations, and model behaviors that reinforce accountability, engagement, and performance. One of the most significant lessons from this chapter is that influence amplifies opportunity because strategic networks, credibility, and authority allow ideas, products, and strategies to reach broader audiences and gain traction quickly. Billionaires invest in relationships, reputation, and personal brand to extend their impact, creating opportunities that would not be accessible through effort alone. Listeners are encouraged to cultivate trust, nurture professional connections, and leverage networks effectively to accelerate both learning and success. Another key insight lies in empowering teams and collaborators, because scalable impact requires capable individuals who can execute independently while aligned with the overarching vision. Successful billionaires delegate responsibility, invest in mentorship, and cultivate leadership within their organizations, ensuring that growth is sustainable and resilient. Listeners are encouraged to identify potential leaders, provide guidance and resources, and establish accountability structures that reinforce both individual and collective performance. The importance of this chapter lies in demonstrating that leadership and influence are critical multipliers of both wealth and opportunity. By guiding, mentoring, and aligning others toward common objectives, listeners can expand the reach and impact of their actions, creating leverage that significantly exceeds what individual effort alone could achieve. Effective leadership transforms influence into measurable results, accelerating growth, innovation, and success. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the capacity to lead effectively, inspire performance, and amplify their impact across teams, organizations, and markets. Leadership becomes both a practice and a system, enhancing execution, decision-making, and opportunity capture at scale. This approach ensures that influence is leveraged intentionally and produces predictable, high-value outcomes. This chapter also highlights the role of ethics, integrity, and vision in sustaining leadership, because credibility underpins trust, engagement, and long-term success. Billionaires who lead with consistency, fairness, and foresight cultivate loyalty, respect, and alignment, reinforcing sustainable achievement. Listeners are encouraged to integrate ethical frameworks, transparent communication, and purpose-driven guidance into leadership practices. Finally, mastering leadership and influence equips listeners with the tools to guide teams, seize high-impact opportunities, and multiply wealth and success through collaboration. By combining vision, communication, empowerment, and ethical influence, individuals ensure that their achievements extend beyond personal action, producing lasting impact and measurable results. Let's move on to Chapter 7, Sustaining Wealth, Strategies for Long-Term Success. In this chapter, titled Sustaining Wealth, Strategies for Long-Term Success, we explore how billionaires protect, grow, and leverage their assets over time, emphasizing that sustaining wealth requires more than accumulation. It demands strategic planning, disciplined execution, and adaptability to changing circumstances. Many of the world's wealthiest individuals maintain their success by integrating governance, diversification, and risk management into a cohesive system that ensures both resilience and growth. Listeners are encouraged to examine how billionaires structure assets, monitor performance, and implement strategies that preserve capital while generating compounding returns, ensuring that success is durable and scalable. The narrator emphasizes that risk management and diversification are central to sustainability because concentrating resources in a single opportunity exposes wealth to volatility. Successful billionaires spread investments across industries, markets, and asset classes, combining stable income streams with high-growth opportunities. Listeners are encouraged to adopt disciplined diversification strategies, assess risk-reward trade-offs, and implement systems that protect assets against unexpected market fluctuations while maintaining growth potential. One of the most significant lessons from this chapter is that strategic governance ensures that wealth is maintained and managed efficiently because oversight, delegation, and structured decision-making prevent mismanagement and preserve legacy. Billionaires often utilize advisory boards, family offices, or professional managers to monitor performance, evaluate opportunities, and maintain alignment with long-term objectives. Listeners are encouraged to establish governance frameworks that balance oversight with autonomy, ensuring sustainable execution without stifling innovation or agility. Another key insight lies in planning for longevity, because sustaining wealth requires foresight, succession planning, and consideration of generational impact. Successful individuals create strategies to ensure that resources continue to generate value for themselves, their families, and communities over decades. Listeners are encouraged to integrate long-term planning, legal structures, and mentorship into wealth management, ensuring that assets remain productive, protected, and aligned with enduring objectives. The importance of this chapter lies in demonstrating that sustaining wealth is both strategic and proactive. By combining diversification, governance, and long-term planning, listeners ensure that resources continue to generate value and influence over time, reinforcing both financial stability and personal legacy. Sustainability transforms wealth from a temporary advantage into a durable foundation for opportunity, impact, and continued growth. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the capacity to preserve capital, enhance returns, and manage risk effectively while preparing for future uncertainties. Strategic foresight, disciplined management, and adaptive planning empower individuals to maintain influence, expand opportunity, and create enduring success that extends far beyond immediate gains. This approach ensures that wealth continues to compound, influence grows, and long-term objectives are realized. This chapter also highlights the role of continuous evaluation and refinement, because even the most robust strategies require monitoring and adjustment to remain effective. Billionaires regularly review investment performance, organizational health, and market trends, recalibrating actions to optimize outcomes. Listeners are encouraged to integrate feedback loops, performance metrics, and strategic review cycles into their wealth management practices to reinforce resilience and opportunity capture. Finally, mastering strategies for sustaining wealth equips listeners with the tools to protect, grow, and leverage their resources effectively. By combining governance, risk management, diversification, and long-term planning, individuals ensure that their wealth is durable, impactful, and capable of supporting both personal ambitions and legacy-building objectives. Let's move on to Chapter 8, Legacy and Impact, Leaving a Lasting Mark. In this chapter, titled Legacy and Impact, Leaving a Lasting Mark, we explore how billionaires extend their influence beyond personal gain, emphasizing that true success is measured not only by wealth but by the enduring value, impact, and inspiration created for others. Many of the world's most successful individuals focus on philanthropy, mentorship, and strategic investments in communities, education, and innovation, ensuring that their resources generate positive, long-term outcomes. Listeners are encouraged to examine how purpose-driven action. Most successful individuals focus on philanthropy, mentorship, and strategic investments in communities, education, and innovation, ensuring that their resources generate positive, long-term outcomes. Listeners are encouraged to examine how purpose-driven action, ethical leadership, and vision contribute to meaningful legacy, translating success into lasting influence that transcends financial achievement. The narrator emphasizes that legacy begins with intentional planning and alignment with values, because wealth without purpose can dissipate or fail to create meaningful impact. Billionaires identify areas where their resources, expertise, and influence can create measurable positive outcomes, and they structure initiatives to maximize reach and effectiveness. Listeners are encouraged to integrate value-based objectives, measurable goals, and sustainable frameworks into their legacy strategies to ensure enduring impact. One of the most significant lessons from this chapter is that giving back amplifies both influence and fulfillment, because strategically directing resources, mentorship, or knowledge multiplies opportunities for others and reinforces social responsibility. Successful billionaires create foundations, invest in education, and support initiatives that address critical societal challenges while fostering innovation and capacity building. Listeners are encouraged to consider how their wealth, skills, and networks can generate positive impact that persists across generations. Another key insight lies in empowering others, because legacy is magnified through the development and support of future leaders, innovators, and changemakers. Billionaires invest in mentorship, knowledge transfer, and professional development to ensure that their influence extends. Beyond immediate actions, listeners are encouraged to cultivate mentorship programs, provide guidance, and create opportunities for others to thrive, ensuring that success generates a ripple effect of value and impact. The importance of this chapter lies in demonstrating that true wealth is multidimensional, combining financial success with influence, societal contribution, and meaningful legacy. By integrating purposeful action with strategic philanthropy, listeners ensure that their achievements contribute to a broader vision, leaving a lasting mark that endures beyond personal gains. Legacy is therefore both aspirational and actionable, combining intentionality with tangible, high-impact initiatives. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the capacity to shape enduring influence, amplify opportunities for others, and integrate purpose into wealth creation. Strategic giving, mentorship, and value-based decision-making reinforce both personal fulfillment and societal benefit, ensuring that success leaves a meaningful, measurable imprint. This approach transforms achievement from temporary advantage into a lasting legacy. This chapter also highlights the role of vision, ethics, and continuity, because sustainable impact requires planning for the long term, adhering to principles, and preparing systems that preserve influence beyond immediate involvement. Billionaires who act with foresight, transparency, and integrity create trust, loyalty, and alignment that strengthen both results and reputation. Listeners are encouraged to adopt ethical, forward-looking frameworks for personal and professional influence. Finally, mastering legacy and impact equips listeners with the tools to ensure that their wealth, influence, and actions produce enduring value. By combining strategy, mentorship, philanthropy, and purpose-driven leadership, individuals ensure that success is meaningful, measurable, and capable of inspiring and enabling others long into the future. As we conclude Billionaire Mindset and Habits, Think and Act Like the Rich, it becomes clear that extraordinary success is less about chance or luck and more about deliberate mindset, disciplined habits, strategic decision-making, and consistent action. Over the course of these 8 chapters, you have explored the mental frameworks, daily routines, investment strategies, leadership approaches, risk management techniques, and legacy-building practices that distinguish the world's wealthiest individuals. You have seen that wealth and influence are the product of thinking differently, acting intentionally, and aligning daily behaviors with high-leverage goals. By internalizing these principles, listeners gain the tools to cultivate habits, mindset, and strategies that compound into extraordinary achievement, financial independence, and enduring impact. If this audiobook has inspired you to adopt the mindset and habits of highly successful individuals, begin today by selecting one principle, whether it's disciplined decision-making, strategic investing, high-leverage habits, or focused leadership, and implement it consistently in your daily life. Subscribe to FREMA Audiobooks for more insights into wealth, success, and personal growth. Leave a review to support the mission and share this audiobook with anyone seeking to elevate their mindset, habits, and results. Remember, thinking like the rich is not about shortcuts, it is about intentional, consistent action, disciplined routines, and strategic choices that compound over time. And by applying the lessons in this audiobook, you can begin to transform your mindset, behavior, and results into measurable, lasting success.